What's up, folks? Matt here with Lake Erie Arms. I'm here with Andy Gundalf Lake once again, and we have a Remington 700 here that you've done some work on. And go ahead, tell us what you've done, and I think the customer's gonna be real happy because this thing looks freaking sweet. So yeah, go ahead, tell us what's going on.
So we had a customer bring this rifle in, walked up to the counter and he saw my 300 Win Mag rifle that I have sitting out there as kind of like display, and basically brought this rifle in because he wanted to get it kind of customized and tuned up. Took one look at mine and he said, just make this like that, is basically what he did. So okay, so kind of going down the list of things. First thing we did was thread the muzzle. So this is actually threaded. So I cut 5/8 24 muzzle threads on the end of the barrel for him here, and then custom fitted a, this is a American Precision Arms Little Bastard muzzle brake. That's actually what they call it. And that is blended right into the barrel, so the seam just disappears when you snug that thing up. Tune the trigger up. He was on the fence about doing a aftermarket trigger, like a Timney or a Jewel or a Trigger Tech or something like that. I just took his factory Remington 700 trigger and, you know, did the Gundalf thing with it, and that's down to right about 2 pounds now, 2 1/4, which is really nice. Very little over travel, nice clean brake. Added a DNZ 10 MOA rail for the scope to mount. This is the Vortex Strike Eagle 5-25 by 56 with a 34 millimeter tube. Lets a lot of light in. This is the same optic I have on my 300 Win Mag over there. I don't know if that's why he chose this optic or not, but that just so happens to be the same one I have. One thing I like about it is it's got these locking turrets. So your elevation and windage turrets, both you set your dial and then you just push them down and they lock back in, so you don't inadvertently make any adjustments that you didn't mean to. Went with Arkin Optics Halo 34 millimeter rings. I put them right on par with things like Vortex, Sequence Precision, even like a Badger Ordnance rings. They're really nice. They have a really good solid hold. I'm running the same thing on my rifle. One of the things that I did on this rifle that really gets overlooked a lot of times is what's called overcocking correction. So Remington 700s are a cock on close action, meaning when you cycle the bolt forward, when you drop the bolt handle down, that's what cocks the firing pin and prepares it to fire. And there's a piece on the back here that normally when you close that bolt, it's kind of hard and you have to like really force it down to load that firing pin up. There's a piece in here that a machining process is done so that now instead of it overcocking the firing pin, it literally just holds the firing pin in place where it needs to be to get correct firing pin fall, good ignition on the primers. And the nice thing now is that thing just drops right close, not a bunch of effort, makes it really smooth and nice. And then obviously we Cerakoted the entire barrel to action. I mean, the heads of the screws for the scope base are even Cerakoted under there. Bolts fully Cerakoted, cocking piece, bolt shroud. The bottom metal is Cerakoted to match with everything. And then obviously we did the full camo pattern. It's actually a 4-color camo pattern on the stock to kind of tie everything together through a Magpul bipod on there. So he's ready to go to kind of start dipping his toe in some long range shooting if he wants to get into a competition. This is not a bad rig to do that with. It's a really good solid rig. This one's a 308. Still all factory barreled action and everything, but you know, now he's got the ability to run the muzzle brake on there. He can add a suppressor to it if he wants. This one already has a detachable box magazine. I need to actually ask him about this because this is a setup that I have not seen previously. I don't know if it's factory to Remington or aftermarket. I don't even know if the customer necessarily knows. That might have just been how he bought it, but it's a good setup, and now it looks really good. It's going to perform well as long as he gets a decent load worked up. This will be a great rifle.
Now, you had to Cerakote this. Obviously, it's got a couple different colors on here. You did sort of a camo pattern on the stock here. Now, with this stock, it's some sort of synthetic material. Are there certain types of materials that do not take Cerakote well?
So far, the only thing that I've never Cerakoted successfully was anything wood. This is an HS Precision stock that is kind of like an OE stock for Remington, for their 700s, some of their nicer ones like the SPSs and things like that. This is a fiberglass shell, lightweight fill stock. I have seen the rubber, there's like the rubber overmolded Hogue type stocks, which usually you see on lighter weight hunting rigs.
Yeah.
Obviously, paint doesn't stick to rubber all that well. But pretty much anything that's a plastic synthetic can be Cerakoted or painted, either way. The only things that I've never done wood, and obviously something that's got a rubberized coating to it is not gonna take Cerakote.
All right, now obviously you did not Cerakote the optic on this. If somebody wanted the optic body of their scope or even their red dot to be Cerakoted, is that an option? I do know that some of them have like almost protective shells that'll go on them, like the EOTech. You could obviously take that hood off and you could Cerakote that pretty easily. But if they wanted something like this to be Cerakoted, what options do they have, if any?
So with optics, you get kind of into a weird niche subset of coating because by virtue of optics, there's a lot of delicate instrumentation here. Yeah. There's electronics in here for anything that has an illuminated reticle. You've obviously got some really expensive pieces of glass that you don't want to get damaged in any way. Cerakote is not an awesome option for optics specifically. So I don't Cerakote my optics personally just because I'm not going to take a several hundred to $1,000+ optic and subject it to things like sandblasting and high temperatures. There are ways to do it. It's a lot of taping. It's really expensive. Usually what I do for anything of mine is if they want to kind of take the Cerakote and tie it in with the rifle with the optics, I'll do things like the rings, or if they've got a one-piece cantilever, I'll do that kind of thing. It's just not something that I've ever gotten wound up enough about to roll the dice on potentially damaging a really high-end optic. It can be done. There are guys out there that do that. That's all they do is coat optics. And I believe most people are using things like Duracoat or KG Gun Coat, things like that aren't nearly as durable as Cerakote, but they also don't require the same prep and things like that could potentially damage the optic.
So long story short, the juice probably isn't worth the squeeze, but it could be done if you were really intent on getting it done.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Like you mentioned, the things like the EOTech hoods or the little protective hoods over pistol optics, things like that, things like rings and mounts, Cerakote, all that kind of stuff tied into the rifle, make it look cool. But as far as the optic itself, you've got so much in here that's really easy to mess up in the Cerakoting process. And even just painting, there's just a ton of taping and masking off, and to me it's, I don't know, they look fine black.
All right, well, Andy, thank you very much for talking with us. If you guys have any firearm projects out there you want to have worked on, talk to this guy right here. He can help you out over at the custom shop here at Lake Erie Arms. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. All right, well, Andy, thank you. All sounds so stupid now.